Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started as folks join, because we'll have people joining from all different times. Sometimes people join at like 12:15 or 12:30. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So as you join, I want you to let us know again in the comments where you're joining from, and same thing in the Facebook group. And I am so super excited and honored and grateful to have Anita Scott on with us today. And she is actually one of our WiseMind Soul Warrior 300 students. And she has been a dear friend and a soul sister and someone I have known for years. So Anita, I would love for you to just take a moment. I know you've done this last time, to just share kind of how we connected and how you started your yoga journey and what kind of led you to the WiseMind Soul Warrior program.
Yeah, so hopefully the way that Jenny and I met is relatable for everyone. We met at Bond Brothers Brewery, and Jenny was doing a beer and yoga class, and I had done the beer and yoga with other instructors, and it was, it was good. But when I took Jenny's class, something just resonated with me, and we connected after class. I honestly think that was the first time I had someone really pay attention and be in tune to like my body and my posture and helping with that. But I don't know, there was just something about Jenny, and we connected. I don't ever reach out to people like after classes and, give an extra thank you or any kind of feedback, but I felt like I needed to. And we just sort of kept the conversation going. And honestly, I'm sure there's some of you out there like this. Jenny invited me to several of the online courses, or to join a Facebook group, or different retreats. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to do my yoga on YouTube and keep going to beer and yoga. And then I finally made it to a retreat here in Raleigh, or like the Apex area. And it was amazing. I met the most wonderful people. I hardly ever speak up like in big groups of people. And that day I shared so much about my personal life, and I cried, and my voice was shaking, but I didn't even care. It was like these ladies were my sisters after day one, after a mere few hours. So I knew I was going to keep continuing after that, because it's like I knew I needed that in my life, but didn't want to admit it. But once that happened, it was like I could not run from it. So I joined the Facebook groups that I said I wasn't going to join, and loved them. Started with the YTT program and joining every Wednesday and going through the lessons and the modules. And then I went on another retreat in Asheville, and magical. That was a weekend. It was the best food, the best location. All the ladies that were there, we still talk and get together to this day. Real talk here. It was an amazing time. It was a hard adjustment at first, being at a retreat and being out of my comfort zone, but I can't wait to go to the next one if that tells you anything. So long-winded story, but that's how I got involved.
So you and I talked a little bit about this, that I remember like the very first class that I like met you, and we talked about this, because I remember you being in the very front row, and me actually doing an adjustment on you in pigeon pose.
Yep.
And I could feel like and I'm getting goosebumps just talking about this, because I could feel intuitively that you needed to be touched.
Yes. And what's funny, on just getting on a more personal level, is I was in that class with my now ex-husband, but at the time he was my husband, and we were not in a good place at all. And going to the yoga class was something that I was trying to force to hopefully fix things. But it's just so funny that no one's ever approached me in a class to help with adjustments. And that was the class so it's just, that whole,
it's just such, and that's the part. I mean, I love obviously doing online. And there's a lot of advantages to doing online. But one of the reasons why we do the retreats and the Asheville retreat is to have that part of it, at least a hybrid part of it, be an experience where we are together in person, because there is the intuitive part of it, of the feeling somebody's energy and being able to do, adjustments and things on people, like what I did with you the first time you did a class. And that's part of when I do teach a local class, which I'm going to start doing once a month, where like I would lay hands on every single person in the class if I could. Now it was a little bit harder with your class because we had 50 people in the class, but you know, when we have like the smaller groups, which are usually like 20 to 30, I don't know where this next one's going to end up, but I try to touch as many people. Now it's been a little bit more difficult with COVID, obviously, with that happening. But before all that happened, I would intuitively, you know, if it was a class of like 10 people, for example, I would touch and adjust every single person, whether it was like in pigeon pose or in Shavasana, you know, placing my hands on their shoulders or rubbing their neck. Because that part of it, when you can connect with somebody in person, is so important to like be in tune with like their energy and what they're needing, if that makes sense. So it's just funny how that like, I could feel that like I was drawn to you, you know what I mean? I was like, she needs to be touched. And it's just so interesting that you were going through that. And of course, I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Right.
I just knew intuitively I could feel that, you know, you needed to be touched. So,
and I think that was what, 7, maybe 8 years ago. That was,
isn't that crazy? And that was like a $5.
I know.
Right. So, and Bond Brothers, actually, they just started it up again. So just a little, you know, play for Bond Brothers here. But for a couple years, they weren't doing the yoga there. So I wasn't a part of it. But at some point I will maybe start teaching there at Lululemon again. But because of COVID, a lot of things that were community classes that I used to teach that were either free or like $5, you know, weren't going on during COVID. So tell us a little bit more about the Asheville retreat. And if you want to share a little bit about like the fire of transformation, or you know, some of the things that, whatever you feel comfortable with, that you released when you were there, and kind of like what that was like, you know, the retreat when we got together in person.
Yes. So the retreat, there's a lot of feelings that go into even just prepping to go there. And even just the drive there by myself, knowing what I was about to commit to for the weekend, was very relaxing and calming. And I felt like I was prepared mentally for it. And I always tell people, when I first got there, I was really like sort of in a little bit of a panic, because I mean, we're all adults and we're used to our space. And, you know, we shared rooms there, which now looking back was the best experience ever. But when I first got there, I'm like, oh, there's no way I can do this. There is no way. I mean, we're sharing a room. We're in twin beds. This is not it. But it was it. It was really fun. I mean, we got there. We were paired with, in my opinion, I was paired with 2 ladies that were phenomenal. We're still in communication. Every day started with how I want to start my day in a perfect life. We woke up, we did meditation, we had organic breakfast, we had tea and coffee, we had time to just kind of talk with each other, stretch, walk, yoga practice. We learned so much about what goes into your body and how that affects you. Just so much about like daily diet and yoga practice and breathing and really just natural and holistic approaches to life, which I loved. And the whole time we were there, we knew we were going to be writing a letter and possibly sharing this, if we were comfortable, in front of everyone for the burning ceremony. And so I told you all that I usually don't speak in front of people. So in my mind, I was like, I'm going to write this very detailed letter, but I'm going to skip over some of the stuff and make it short of what I read so that my voice doesn't shake. And you all, it's like perfect storm, perfect combination of things, because that day, right as we were going outside, it starts to rain. It's like the best moment. We're all like, let's just do it in the rain. Let's just go. It's starting to rain harder and harder. We're still trying to keep this fire going, but we're all linked up and hugging around this fire. Everyone's reading their letters and they're crying, and we're burning them, and we're saluting, and we're doing our thing. And I read my letter word for word, did not skip a word, didn't care about the tears, didn't care about the cuss words, didn't care who I was calling out, getting rid of, what energy I was throwing out. It all went in that fire. And when was that? Last summer. And I can tell you what was in that letter. And I am such a better person from some of that stuff. I mean, I'll just give you an example. I wanted to burn like anger and self-resentment from past experiences, fear of like really walking into what I feel I deserve and not feeling guilty about it. And I feel like such a better person, just looking at things differently and thinking about like, do I really want to react this way? And do I really want to, a few days later or a few hours later, be sad and disappointed in myself for being that bitter person? Like, it takes work like this to really think about that, because it's a lot easier said than done. But yeah, man, that burning ceremony was wonderful. Am I me?
I said I was like a proud mama bear with watching all of you. Like I can't even put into words without me getting emotional, like what it was like for me to like stand back and watch you guys do that was so much of a blessing for me and a gift as it was for all of you. Because I was so proud of you guys. Like, and like you said, every single person, like once one person started, then the whole group like felt that like this momentum of courage and bravery and vulnerability and transparency to like stand up and be like, you know what, like I'm going to stand up and I'm going to release this. And like, this might not be easy, but I'm going to be bold and I'm going to stand up and release this. And like, and it was this whole thing, like praying. I was like praying with you guys. You may not have realized it, but I'm going to have to share some of the pictures in the group, Anita, because I found some pictures of us afterwards and I'm standing there like with my hand on your back.
I would love to see.
And I was like praying with you. And then there's another one where we're like down at the fire and we're both kneeling at the fire and I've got my arm around you and you're like putting the letter in the fire.
Oh, I have to see
and
that.
Like, again, I'm getting goosebumps, like just talking about it because it was so like I said, it was so much of a blessing for me to witness that, to be a witness for you guys and to hold space like that. Like you can't even put, like as a teacher, that was just like, I mean, I can't even, like I said, I can't put it into words.
Yeah, it was.
I was so proud of you guys. And then when you stood up and did like, you know, everyone was doing the sword too, it was like, oh my God.
I'm like, I need a sword at home.
Yeah, and I couldn't even have planned, you know, something like that. Obviously, you know, you have a framework, Anita, as a teacher of what that's going to look like. But when you're facilitating something like that, you have to be able to be organic and be intuitive, right? At the same time of like, what do these students need from me? Like, how can I best hold space? And sometimes it's sitting back and sometimes it's coming in and leaning in more and encouraging more, you know, so I also anointed you guys too. I actually had a set of oils and I anointed each of you as well. So yeah. And I just, like I said, I had a framework and I didn't quite know, you know, and I just let you guys lead. Like I said, as one person went and then you all went. And then it was just,
it just flowed like
it flowed. Yeah. And then we saged you guys as we came in too. And we saged you afterwards. And my daughter helped with that, which was amazing too. So, and we will be doing that again this year. We're building this time we have someone who's actually building a huge bonfire and it will be pre-ready. And all we have to do is like lit. Like it's going to be the wood and the kindling and everything. So that is one thing I learned. Like, I mean, we couldn't help it because of the rain.
Right.
But I also would have somebody there that is delegated to that's done.
Yeah.
Walk up and it's
ready
to go. But yeah, I can't wait to see what people burn in the letters this summer. And that will be July 15th through 17th. And that will be in Asheville as well. So, okay, so let's talk a minute about, so you shared how you would come on weekly with the group coaching. If you want to share just a little bit more about like the structure around like working with me and working with a mentor, with the practicing and, you know, downloading any handouts or working in the LMS, like what that structure has been like for you.
Yeah. So what's wonderful are the Wednesday sort of lives or classes, however you want to refer to them. But it's a good time to sort of join in with everyone that you've already either met or been in this practice with. And we get together weekly and Jenny guides us through a lesson. And it's always relatable to something that's going on in your life. There's always, like, every topic is a relatable topic. And it's usually an hour, and it's a great time to ask any questions live. That's usually where I get the bulk of my content that, like, is not just on my own. Then you have the LMS where you can download the modules, yoga practices, meditation, breathing, which is awesome. There's a ton of resources. And then we've just started the mentoring groups, which is super helpful. I'm in a group, I think maybe of 4 or 5. We've met once, and we'll be meeting for the second time soon. And then the second time that we meet, I'll be actually leading the group in the meditation practice. So each week when we get together, or each month when we get together, each person takes turns sort of leading through a meditation and breathing practice. So I've been practicing and I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also nervous because even though it's not like in person, it's in front of people. And so I'm hoping that since it's a small group, I won't be nervous. And also we're doing meditation, so it'll be calm speaking, but the practice is helpful because you think it's going to be easier. You think like you've got this. And once you start to do it, you're like, oh, wow, like practice. And also, this isn't like related to well, it kind of is, but just having my own practice, I've had a hard time like getting that into my daily routine. And Jenny and I have gotten together. We've talked about it. And even she's taught me just even like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just do anything. And eventually it will become part of your day. And luckily it has, just kind of pushing myself. I mean, I even started with like, there are YouTube videos that are 4 minutes and 32 seconds long. That is considered something. You've done it. Okay.
Yes, you can do 4 minutes, 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Even 4 or 5 minutes a day makes a difference.
Yes. And so that's a big part of the practice, not just doing like the LMS and logging in on Wednesday. It's like having your own regular practice. So I feel like with those 3 combined, even if you aren't doing this to the YTT to be a teacher, it's just good to have as like a life, like a way of your life, a way that you go about your life. People think that you don't really need routine or anything like that, but you really do of some sort. Like it doesn't have to be going to the gym at 4 a.m., but you can definitely do some sunrise yoga to start your day if you're already up. Like I'm telling you, it helps. It really helps.
It does, because it helps to ground your nervous system. So I love to it's almost like a training ground is what I like to call it, of especially during COVID. Like we so need this work. It's called a sadhana practice, like on a daily basis, if possible. And it can be as little as 5 to 15 minutes, right? It doesn't have to be, like you said, an hour, 2 hour, 6 a.m., 5 a.m. yoga practice. It can be whatever it works for you, as like what we like to call a modern day yogi. And whether you're planning on, like you said, teaching and being a teacher, or whether you're like Anita, for example, is a professional, right? She's in the corporate world and she is making this all work, that she's in the training. And I would say I don't know the exact percentage, but over 50%, if not closer to 70% of the women that are in this are either corporate or, they own their own business, or they're running something else, like in addition to being part of this training. A majority are, or they're building a yoga business, and getting their certification or whatever it is. So yeah, it's definitely open to everyone. It's not just for someone looking for a certification, because there is, as you know, Anita, so much like practical life skills that we teach with like stress resilience, emotional resilience, mindfulness, cognitive behavioral change, like all the yoga therapy and yoga psychology, like shadow work that we do. It applies to everyone, right? Like everyone could benefit from it. And you guys are getting like going on 10 years of my own study and practice, and over 5 years of me working one-on-one with clients and group coaching, that you guys are getting all those handouts, like as if I was sitting one-on-one, like I used to sit in my office with people one-on-one. I've given away all those handouts to you guys. So that's like a huge thing, is that if you are wanting to coach people or you are wanting to work one-on-one or in groups, I've done for you handouts that you can actually download and reuse. So for someone who is looking to facilitate workshops or looking to do one-on-one coaching or yoga psychology, shadow work, I'm handing that over to you, right? Yeah. That's huge. Like that's a huge difference than just the standard YTT, if that makes sense. Because the standard YTT, you're going to get a manual, which you also get, as you know, you get a huge manual, like 900 pages. But in addition to that, all the handouts that I've used when I worked one-on-one with people, you guys are getting access to that. So whether you decide to do it, you know, or you don't, some people are coming into this with that intention, and some people later on may build a yoga business. And so I'm giving you that, you know, or I've had a lot of women take some of these exercises and do them with their kids, like especially a lot of moms with daughters, where they've taken and printed out some of these, like the self-compassion, for example, like be your own best friend, where they've taken that and they've done it with their daughters. Especially teenage daughters. I mean, really any age, but exactly. And I try to encourage that too. Like I don't, you know, it's like I charge you once, and if you want to use it for your whole family, like that's what I've done in the past, and I still do that. So I want to get this out to as many people as possible, because people need this stuff. People need this work, especially now. Okay. Seriously. Like, especially in the middle of COVID. Okay. So tell us a little bit, like when you and I got into a consultation call, we do a consultation call as part of like the application process, because we also want to make sure we don't just talk about pricing and different things. We want to make sure that it's a good fit between the two of us, and also that that person is ready. You know, have they done therapy, or have they done other things they've tried? Like, where are they in their healing journey? And is this a good fit for them? So that's really kind of why we do the consult calls. And if you want to share your experience with what that was like with me, so that people can hear that from somebody other than just me, of what it's like to get on a call with me. I feel like the consult call is probably one of the most important calls, because that is your chance to really ask anything that may be holding you back from making that decision. I felt like, since that was like an individual one-on-one time, that I could really put it out there. Like, if I'm just going to be real, you know, everyone, we all work for a living or do something to make money to be able to pay for this. And so you want to make sure that you are spending your money the right way, or is this something you're really going to commit to, or can I commit to it? Is this for me? Are Jenny and I going to vibe well enough for me to commit to something like this? And honestly, I felt like in that consult call that Jenny was open to all of those questions. She gave me a lot of details of what to expect. And what would be expected of me, because I think that's important to know, that you're not really just showing up as a student to learn and do work and, you know, pass the course. You're there to do work on yourself, which is the hardest work. You know, I'll take a textbook any day over looking inside of here and being like, okay, girl, let's fix it. So I had to make sure like that was something I was really going to be committed to. And the consult call is your call, your chance to just like get it all out there, ask all the questions before truly committing. And I would say you had that chance at other times also, but I would say this is the call that is a decision maker. And this is a time where you really want to just be open and honest with yourself and Jenny. Muted. I mean, it's really just like you said, it's a way for me to be able to answer questions. And oftentimes I just kind of ask people, you know, where are they at in their healing journey? You know, what are they looking to potentially get out of this? You know, are they a yoga teacher? Are they looking to build a business? Are they looking to do it for personal transformation? You know, so it's just a conversational, consultative type conversation. And then it's like, well, okay, here's based on these things where you are, this is where you want to go. Either this is a fit or it's not, you know? And so that's really, you know, in a nutshell, because I'm not here to like force people into, you know, they have to be, like you said, they have to be ready to step into that transformation. They have to be ready for change. And so that's why I've been talking about that all week, of like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you for change, right? And if you're ready for change, you're going to know it and you're going to step into it, because if there are the things that are not working for you anymore, you know, or you want to be able to help other students do that, right? Those of us that are going to be yoga teachers or are going to be what you could call a yoga psychologist, right? A yogologist, for example, if you're planning on doing something like that, you have to do the work yourself first, right? You can't take somebody down a path that you've not done within yourself first. You can only take people as deep as you've gone. So that's why this shadow work and this personal development work is such a key part of this training, because that was my path. And so I'm taking you through, you know, my journey and my path so that you can do the same. And then you can eventually take other people through that path. Right. So that's really the intention, because I'm only one person. So I want, other people take this out. And then the more people we have, the more people we can get to, because I'm only one person. So that was one of the major intentions behind starting this program. And doing it online too, so that I could go out beyond just people in the Raleigh area also.
Which has been so super helpful. I mean, especially within the past 2 years, I mean, it just makes everything so much easier and more accessible to more people who probably without the online portion would not have been able to participate.
Correct. Exactly. And then I would only been limited to like who I could, you know, who was in Raleigh, right? So I can only limit the people I can help. Right. You know, it's limited the people I can help that way. So for me and the work that I do, it's really been like inspirational, you know, to be able to work with anybody in the country or anybody in the world, if that makes sense. So, okay. So we talked about the consult call. Trying to think if there's anything else that I'm forgetting. I think that's everything. I guess one last thing would be, you know, what would you tell somebody? And again, if anyone has any questions, please feel free. If you have a question for Anita or for me, please feel free to put those in the comments, whether you're in the Facebook group or on Zoom. I know, Kristen, you've been posting about that. And Kristen, if you want to put the consult call, the wisemindsoulwarrior.com/book, you can put that in the comments, or the wisemindsoulwarrior.com. But Anita, what I would ask you is, if like you were sitting down, if someone was like asking you, hey, I'm thinking about doing Wise Mind Soul Warrior, you know, what would you tell that student? What would you tell that person?
I would say do it. But I would also, I would share my personal experience, because I know I am the student who was very hesitant for a very long time. I would commit and then back out. I thought there's no way I can afford this as a single mom I didn't have the job I have now. So with like an average paying job, which we know is not even enough in America, I would say you can do it, because there is a way. And if you truly know that you need this and this is something that you want, you'll find a way to do it. And Jenny will help you find a way to do it. It's beneficial to everyone. It doesn't matter what point you are in your life. It doesn't matter your individual circumstances. I mean, I use some of this practice in my corporate job, and I love my job, but I also realize it is a very high stress job, and that I'm committed to that job because of the pay. And so I have to find ways to really deal with the high stress of that job. And I even do deep breathing before I turn my video on for meetings, so that I appear calm and confident. But I learned the breathing techniques through this program. So I would say do it. I would say commit to it. You commit to so much in your life. Why not commit to this for yourself? I mean, we commit to vacations. We go out to eat with friends, or we go out or we shop, fun things. But this is something that I will never regret that I finally committed to and finally became a part of. I would say take the leap and do it. You will not regret it. I always say that to people. I feel like I'm giving a pitch, but I'm being so honest. And I feel like I have to share the first part. Like, I struggled financially and emotionally to make that decision. So it's not like it was just like easy for me. It was, I really, really, really had to come to terms with it. And now that I've done that and gone through it, I want to share with you like how passionate I am about the decision to move forward with it.
Yeah. And I mean, you know this, and I'm still doing this. I'm still working with people
Mhm.
to make it work financially, because if somebody is emotionally ready, or the timing is right for them, I don't want that to be the thing, right? So I've done all types of things. We don't put all the different payment plans on the page because there's too many different ones.
Right.
So that's part of the conversation that I have when we have the consult call, is like, let's figure out what your budget is, and I will do my best to try to make it work with a customized payment plan if I can, as best as I can, right? And I've done that for going on 3 years, and I still do that. Yeah. So, and as Anita shared, I did that for her, and so
and I appreciated it. Like,
yeah, and the other thing is too, like, thinking about where you were, you know, like, you were going through a grieving process with different things, and like healing, you know, from your divorce, and like, you had a lot of stuff that you wanted to release. And so I knew from the things that we talked about, and you've shared that publicly on your testimonial, which is why I just shared that, you know, I knew, which is another reason why I wanted to keep encouraging you, because I knew, and I'm getting goosebumps just talking about this, Anita, without getting emotional, because I knew I've gone through it myself. So I knew where you are right now, what it was like on the other side. And I knew that you needed it. And so I just kept kind of, as gently as I could, kept nudging you, and, you know, and having the patience and the grace and things to like keep encouraging you, because I knew that you could benefit from it, and that it would change your life.
And I feel like it's so easy when you're in those situations to stick to a no, because it's so easy to give excuses to not do something to help yourself. Like I was going through a divorce, like a very traumatic divorce. And within 2 months, my father unexpectedly passed away. And so I was just like, what am I going to do with life? How am I going to pay for life? How am I going to get through life? And I think that was like my breaking point, my bottom point, where I'm like, I knew I needed to do something, which is why I'm so glad you kept coming, you know, to me and offering. And I'm telling you all, like, when I feel like I'm such a different person from day one to now, and I'm still working and I'm still progressing, and there's a lot of work to be done, but I am a totally different person. I'm much more confident, much more comfortable in being like, I could care less, you know, and this is what I care about. But it used to be like, I care about, and I could care less. So I mean, just that part in itself, sharing those personal experiences, like if you're in that place where it's just easy to be like, no, I don't want to do it, or I'll do it later. Don't do that. Just do it. Just do it. Because you do it now, you'll still be in it later when you were going to start later, but you'll be at a further point. So just do it.
Yeah. And it's so funny that you say that too, because, you know, you're never going to be 100% ready, right, to step into this program, right, or any type of program like this, right? You're with the shadow work and going into the deeper inner work, you're never going to be 100% ready. And the shadow work and the healing work is a lifelong journey, right? So yes, you're going to get a tremendous amount out of this program. And I have no doubt that, because it's not like selling for me, because it's my life work, and I know that this stuff works. And so that's why I'm so passionate about it. But part of my mission and my intention is to want people to get there in a shorter amount of time, right? To like you said, to not be a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, because I know in my own journey, my own life, you know, if I would have had these things sooner, right? But that was not my journey. That was not my testimony. But so if I can hand that to somebody where they heal in a shorter amount of time, and they get rid of these samskara patterns and the family of origin trauma and the root causes of all these things sooner, and release that stuff, then I have done my purpose. Yeah. Right. So, you know, that's really what drives me in all this too, is like, you know, you're not just healing yourself, you're healing future generations, right? Exactly. So you're not just healing you, you're healing your daughter's generations and your grandkids' generations, and so forth and so on. And so that's why this work is so powerful, because you're not just healing yourself, you're helping to heal the world by doing this work.
Yes, a whole another phone call, but I think about generational trauma and how like that was a big factor. And like, let me just change the way things are heading for my kids and their kids. So yes, totally.
And you have too. And it's so powerful to watch, like, you know, even the transformation with you over the past year, right? Again, I have the honor to be able to sit back and watch all of you, which is like amazing to me, you know, that you just got remarried and all these things. Like, you know, I get the honor to be able to sit back and watch students like you, and every single one of my students, you know, I'm so grateful. And I'm like, again, that mama bear, you know, that I just like I get the honor of taking that journey with you.
Yes. Yeah. I love it.
And I'm grateful for that.
So am I.
So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put it in the chat. I know sometimes people are shy with this. So again, Kristen has put the consult call in the comments. I'm going to jump on the Facebook group for a minute and see if there's any questions. Let's see. Okay, so we've got Wendy and we've got some other people in the Facebook group. So if you're shy and you don't want to ask questions right now, you can ask them when we get on a consult call. Okay, so I want to say this before I let Anita go, that I've carved out like time into this evening. I've carved out time on Sunday, almost all day Sunday. I don't have as much time on Saturday because it's actually my daughter's prom on Saturday. I will be teaching Saturday morning at 10 a.m. in the Facebook group, and we will be doing a live Q&A, and I will be doing a pop-up class. So if you have questions for me, you can ask me then. But in the meantime, you can set up a consult call. So like I said, I think I have it until like 8 o'clock tonight, and I've got it almost all day on Sunday. So if you want to connect with me this weekend, I have carved out time, or you can go ahead and look at what's scheduled for Monday. So any other last words? I'm going to let Anita go. Any last words? Anything else you want to say? I
would say book the consult call. It's not a commitment, but it's at least you taking the first step. And I would say really focus on figuring out what's a good practice for you, not what you think everyone else is doing or what is acceptable. Just like what's good for you to get into a routine. Yeah. And if you want to connect with me on Facebook and ask any questions, obviously I'm an open book, you know, pretty much half my life story. So we can share stories. I can give you the lowdown like I just did if you need to hear it again. But please find me on Facebook. I'm happy to talk.
Girl, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know you're super busy. So again, like so much gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to do this again. I'm so
thanks for having me.
Of course. You are like a natural at this, girl. Like a natural for
I wish I was like this on the work calls. These are fun calls. Like this is great. But yeah, I hope you all enjoy the rest of the day and your weekend. And I hope to hear from some of you.
Okay. Thank you so much, girl.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.